We just talked about the Kairos Dungeon best monsters. And since I'm in the neighborhood, I figured I'd talk about the best monsters for each Rift Beast. God, that was messy. It bears mentioning that we're still in the middle of that booster fever event that I talked about last time too. This event is really good. So in addition to doing the rune and artifact boosters that we talked about in the previous video, there's also a booster for grinds and gems. Now this one is not exactly the same as the one for Kairos Dungeon, but the event lets you get up to 10 gems and grindstones. So make sure that you're tapping into that, and to inspire you to do so, here we go, we're getting started. A real quick disclaimer before we get started. If you've seen the free-to-play guide to Rift Beast video on this channel, then you know already that Mav, Ergar, and Crow are staples for pretty much every single one of the Rift Beasts. So it feels like it'd be a little redundant to have them featured as the best monster for each one. So instead of doing that, I'm instead going to have a best monster that I feel properly reflects the quirk or gimmick of each Rift Beast. Cool? Cool, let's get started. With fire. And the best monster for the Fire Rift Beast is the Water Homunculus. He has AoE on every single skill, which can help to dispatch all those little fiery minions that the boss spews out in the middle of the fight. Honorable mentions include Lapis, Sigmaris, or really any AoE water damage dealer. Now on to the Water Rift Beast. The Water Rift Beast gimmick is taking turns. Puts a cap on your HP, and you need to take turns to reduce that cap. So the best monster is something that gives speed buff, namely Bernard or Hrosvelg. Can kind of choose either one here, or both. They're both welcome on this team. Speed is the name of the game. And then when the boss is down, Bernard can help by applying a defense break, and Hrosvelg also puts an attack buff on your friends. Oh, and branding. Man, maybe it's more Hrosvelg than Bernard. I don't know. The honorable mentions for the Water Rift Beast are Naomi and Lucian as two very good, pretty accessible wind damage units. And of course, Riley, your favorite fusible healer. On to the Wind Dungeon, whose gimmick is healing. Verd is the #1 unit here. Attack bar and self-heal, Verd is just great. We don't need to sit here and sing Verd's praises. However, I do want to talk about the honorable mentions a little bit. Baelgert, the Fire Lightning Emperor, is an insanely good damage dealer that anybody can get thanks to the Fusion Hexagram. Perna is a very flexible damage dealer because she also passively heals your team. Brandia is just huge damage, and sometimes that's all you need. And then there's Colleen, the Fire Harpoo, who has a 3-turn attack buff and a nice heal too. For the Light Rift Beast, our favorite monsters are a combination of Sabrina and Talia. Now, it's worth noting that Sabrina and Talia could have at least been honorable mentions for the Water and Fire Rift Beast so far, and frankly, the upcoming Dark Rift Beast too, but I just wanted to choose one, and I think it should be this one. And you know why I think it should be this one? It's because I think it is hilarious that this Rift Beast supposedly limits damage done by multi-hits, and yet Talia and Sabrina do so much gosh dang damage that they basically ignore the mechanic. Honorable mentions include Raok for the team up effect and the defense break. There's also Perna for the same reasons that we talked about before. Brandia, because big damage is big damage. And Leica. And lastly, it's the Dark Rift Beast. Unfortunately, all of the best units have already been mentioned, so I'm just gonna mention them again. Sabrina, Talia, Raok, Crow, Ergar, Shina, Zhang.
Alright, I get it!
So there we go, that's every one of the best monsters for the Rift Beast and Summoner's War. Make sure that you're participating in the Booster Fever event too while that's going on, because you can also get the Rune and Artifact boosters that we talked about in the previous video. If you're curious about the best monster for each one of the Kairos dungeons too, I already have a video for that on the channel, and it's right there if you want to give it a watch. So make sure you're participating in that event because there's some really good stuff in there. All right, everybody, see you next time. Bye-bye.